Welcome back to Ferocious Education. This is Zed. Today we're going to be talking about the metals company going with the ticker TMC. In today's video, we're going to go over due diligence, technical analysis, and what we think about this one. So without further ado, let's jump right into this one. So the metals company. For this company here, basically, as the name suggests, they produce metals. So in terms of products, they have metals for batteries, so they're scaling nodule collecting and onshore processing systems to supply lower impact metals to the global electrical vehicle industry. Now looking into their products, one of their first one here is nickel sulfate. And nickel sulfate is the most important metal by mass in batteries used by electrical vehicles manufacturers. Nickel sulfate delivers higher energy density than other cathode chemistries. It allows for greater storage of capacity and improves the EV range, increasing times between charges. Now, in addition, they have as well cobalt sulfate. And cobalt basically boosts energy density and battery life. It keeps batteries stable and safe during charging and using. Also, offers high conductivity options. Now, copper. Copper is the primary material for EV battery connectors and the wiring harness, which allows for the flow of electricity throughout the car. It also makes up the windings that are central to an electric motor. In addition as well, manganese helps achieve low internal resistance but offers a low specific energy, making it an ideal partner for nickel in battery cathodes. So these metals enable the shift of clean energy and electrical vehicles. Now, moving on from there, they have a really nice presentation. I would like to go over a few parts of it, not all of it, because it's 101 pages of the presentation. So first here is Deep Green Metals plus SOAS, or SOAC, my bad. And this is representing the new metal company. Now, they previously had a different name, which was SOAS, or C, my bad, I keep saying SSC, and currently it's being represented as TMC. That's the new ticker. It went through a reverse merger. So some of the investments highlight, it's the world's largest estimated source of battery metals, enough nickel and copper and manganese and cobalt in situ or in the field itself or in the reservoirs to electrify 280 million electric vehicles. 4 battery metals in high concentration in a single source. 3.2% nickel equivalent versus 0.3 to 1.9 for the world's largest undeveloped nickel projects. Low cost in production, expecting to be the second lowest cost of nickel producer on the planet. Also, 70 to 99% reduction of life cycles for ESG impacts. Now, business combination. The business, founded in 2011, Deep Green Metals Incorporation is the developer of the world's largest estimated deposit of battery metals with seafloor polymetallic or polymetallic modules or nodules with the lowest expected life cycles ESG footprint on the planet and the people. So that is the business itself. The transaction value will give us around $300 million of cash and trust, including fully committed, upsized $330 million PIPE. Now, the pro forma valuation of this equity company is around $2.9 billion, with a 2027 estimated EBITDA of around $2 billion. The net present value is around 6.8 n to the cube for NORID, and the net present value is around $31.3 billion for the full portfolio. Now, the capital structure, this allows Deep Green shareholders rolling 100% off their equity. That involves around $570 million in net cash, assuming no redemption, expected to fully fund operations to the first expected revenue in 2024. So they're expecting the revenues to hit around 2024, and they're fine until then based on the cash that they've released. Now, in terms of solving availabilities, they have a different strategies, including exploration contract areas in NORI, in TOML or TOML, and Marawa. Now, in addition to that, there's around 920,000 tons of expected nickel supply deficit by 2030. And 120,000 tons expected production for NORID, and 500,000 ton potentials for NORI and TOML. Now, This might sound a little bit more technical, so what I'm going to skip here is the key milestone ahead. So in quarter 3 and quarter 4, you got some offtakes and pilot for onshore processing. In 2022 and 2023, some more pilots, including Collection Atlantic, Collection and CCZ, and onshore refining. Now in 2024, that's the commercial production is expected, and that is where the revenue is expected. They're basically fully funded until then. And new funding will be required somewhere around 2024 to 2025, perhaps early on in 2025. And that as well still includes commercial production, but there is some gap there with the funding that will need to be met sometime later on. So in all and everything, they have a lot of cash to fund a lot of these operations. They do give you some of the debt financing structures and cash flow in general. They're not seeing themselves going cash flow all the way until perhaps even 2030. So that's kind of an important thing to understand. By the way, when I say net cash flow, in general, we're talking in relations towards NORID, CAPEX versus positive cash flow. And again, that is anticipated to be sufficient to fund cumulative CAPEX in 2027 to 2030. So we can move on from here towards a bit of the institutional buyers. You kind of get an idea about the company themselves. There's almost around 60 other slides that I'm not going to go through as we're trying to make this video short and sweet. But before moving on forward, if you would like to see more contents like this, make sure to click the subscribe button on the bottom right corner and leave notifications on for this channel. Also, don't forget to drop a like to this video if you enjoyed this video this far, and you can join our Discord totally free in the description below. And we're not trying to sell you any products on there. Now, some of the news includes the metal company basically starting to trade on NASDAQ in bid to develop on planet's largest estimated resource of battery metals. Now, they already appointed the CEO from the previous business combinations, and one of their biggest kind of comments here is they said, this is the transcript by the way, the CEO themselves said, as I mentioned earlier, the business combination is now closed. TMC have received approximately $137 million in cash prior to transaction fees, including approximately $27 million from SOAC trust accounts after accounting for redemption. SOAC entered into the subscription agreement for around $330.3 million PIPE. However, only approximately around $110 million of the proceeds from private placements were received to date. SOAC and TMC will continue to seek to enforce the funding obligations of the non-performing investors under the subscription agreement. Now, with the cash in bank for around $113 million at closing, we expect to be fully fund our operations throughout quarter 3 of 2023. This is sufficient level of cash to reach the key milestone of submitting our application for an exploration contract to the ISA. We've already made significant progress to develop this unique resource, and we have cash in hand. We will be achieving the following milestones by the quarter 3 2023. They include the completion of our nodule processing and redefining pilot plant program, completion and submission of our environmental impact assessment, construction, deployment of our pilot nodule collection system, working together with ALCES, and finally submission of an application for an exploration contract for the NORI area. Now, this might be a lot of information. A quick thing about the institutional buyers. There's a lot of support for this one as it appears. For instance, Eras Capital has around 17.7% and ALCES Group has around 6.8% of this company. Institutions are a little bit mixed. Some added some, removed some shares. Morgan Stanley reduced their number of shares by 32% back on 23rd of August. Bank of America reduced a very small, around 0.03% of their entire shares back on the 13th of September. So that's really nothing. And in terms of the interest itself, we were able to see that TMC has a bit of attention today, one of the highest it has ever recorded since the 17th of September. But basically, there has been some renewed attention on it in the last couple of weeks, or 3 days. And that is mainly towards some of the retail kind of pushing onto this one and mentioning it on there and basically mentioning that 100% is possible. Let's move on towards technical analysis now. Now, from a technical analysis perspective, we have a bunch of things we can talk about on the 1 day perspective. I'm using here TradingView in change from what we've been using before in terms of IQ Questrade, just because it's a new SPAC. Now, this company here was trading around $10 per day. That's kind of the average of a previous SPAC. They're really known to hold $10 value. I'm not going to go through the technicals into why, but it's basically that is the base value they usually raise these things at. Now, basically what happened is right before the merger, this one kind of shot up a little and then really started slipping ever since then. And one of it is the hype that really involves around SPAC really dies right after the merger is completed. But right now, there's some groups that are really trying to push it up forward. And when this happens and some quote unquote like retail influencers on Twitter and other places are really trying to mention this one, you got to be very careful of pump and dumps because it can go down really bad. But I'm going to treat this one not like a pump and dump and tell you what's going on. So in the MACD here, basically what's showing is high levels of negative momentum, and that is a little bit troublesome, and it's very unusual for the stock. And so basically the laws of this MACD in general is that it would continue on and kind of reverse from this negative trend into something that is a bit more usual. So it's highly oversold as well, and that kind of indicates that at some level this one is going to bounce back. And at this level, it's very likely for it to bounce back. Whether it's 100% or not, we cannot really deduce that because we cannot quantify the levels of how far it can really push. But if we were to take a look, let's say in 30 minutes, okay, and pull back just a little to capture the jump, and we're going to go ahead first with the Fibonacci retracements because that's where most institutional buyers kind of look at supports and resistances in addition to the normal ones. Current resistance is at 888, 1014, 1115, 1216, 1360, and 1544. The support is at 686. Supports are sitting at 688, resistance 723, 859, 890, 972, $10, $10.99, going up to $11.75, $13.05, $13.79, $14.19, and finally $14.56. Comes to the question to Ed, what do you think is going to happen here? Now this dropped quite significantly and slumped downwards. It's currently accumulating between the 688 and around the 716. And it was really trying to go ahead and break through, but there's a lot of resistance onto this one. General stocks would trade after a SPAC around between $6 and $7, and a lot of the times they would accumulate for a bit and then shoot up upwards or just stay there. So it's definitely at an interesting buy level, but you got to be very careful of malicious kind of intents of pump and dump, and that is just kind of the warning sign you got to be careful of. What do you think about this ticker? Make sure to down in the comments below. Share, subscribe, and like, and have a wonderful day. Now, if you're still here on this video, make sure to drop down below and join our Discord. We have a lot of different things going on, including, for instance, members that gives picks for free. It's not pump and dumps, we just things we think about, swings, etc. We also have really exciting bots. You can actually use those ones. For instance, we're just testing out this bot, for instance, that gives you Fibonacci resistance points, activities, etc. And we have a bunch of free things, totally free. We run on tips here, and you can ask me questions, suggest stocks, etc. It's a really nice community that has been growing up very fast at a very good rate, and it's totally free. If you would like to join that one, feel free to do so in the description below, and have a wonderful day.